So in this episode, I talked to Tim Burgess. We talked about mental health and what our dream art career and art studio would look like. Now, Tim is in Bristol, so we could have almost sort of met in person for this episode, but let's keep the format and let's roll the intro. What is it that us artists have in common? Well, we're here to find out. This is Red and Yellow Make Ginger.
Hi, Chris. You hear me okay?
Hey, great. How's things? So this is the Shedio studio space then?
Yeah, my mess space.
Since I last saw you were doing the Keep Art It volunteer thing, but you've been doing a lot of reels since then, and that's why I wanted you on the podcast. You've been putting so much content out into the world, and it seems like just really busy. So I just want to learn more about that.
Yeah, I'll take you back to the beginning on that. I've been searching since before COVID proper projects to work on, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. I know I wanted to focus on mental health, and that was all I did know. During the lockdown periods, wasn't punchy enough, just didn't feel enough there. They were okay. You know, they weren't really coming from me, so to say.
I get that.
So with Keep Art It, I just decided, I met Doug just before Keep Art It started, really. And we threw some ideas around what to do once the lockdown happened. And I said, well, I don't know if I'm going to have time with work commitments, because obviously I work full time as well. And then he started up Keep Art It, and he asked if I wanted to help out. So I did that for a bit, because I didn't know where I wanted to go anyway. And this way I got to see more artists. Because I've had a 10-year gap prior to all this. I didn't pick up a paintbrush or anything for nearly 10 years because I just didn't feel a voice in anything, really. So it was all a mixed bag. So yeah, it was just like hanging out more than volunteering. It wasn't, I was just helping out as and when, not really doing anything. And Doug knew that I wasn't going to be there for long anyway. And hand on heart. And so the beginning of this series I've been working on literally came with a vision on one night. I live with depression and low self-esteem, attention deficit disorder as well. So I find it hard to focus on anything for one long period of time anyway. So me working on a series, I needed to find something that was quick for me not to focus on too long.
Yeah, I'm also ADHD, and I find if I concentrate on a painting more than a few hours, I need to do something else.
That's what I'm saying. It was one of them. I'm not diagnosed as attention deficit disorder, Ryan, but my children are, and we think that it comes from me because looking in history, I've got the same tendencies to happen. So I'm not, before all the art and everything came about, I used to be a publican. So I was a very people person anyway. So I used to run pubs, bars. I could walk into any room. So I used to run pubs and things like that. And I ended up with nervous exhaustion towards the end. So that was my deepest era. And after that, I used to go in and out of waves of depression. With that, I had a lot of trauma in my family life as well going on. I lost my parents. So a lot of things were going on at the same time. So art originally for me was a therapy, because I was going back to my childhood, what I used to do a lot of. And a therapist said that I should pick up a hobby and see where it goes. So I wanted to be a graphic designer originally, of all things, but I wanted to be a graphic designer originally. And so I goes off to the college, local college in Bristol, with my made up portfolio, hoping to get in on this adult course for graphic design, and I just got literally laughed at and thrown out, basically. Not, my work wasn't that at all. I look in hindsight now. So at the point I was devastated, and I don't know if you.
It must have been really difficult though, because at that stage you're like the start of
you're already
what could be, and I mean, I've gone through my various with teachers. But then if you get a good teacher who like supports you, that's you don't really get that very often. But when you get a good one, so yeah, I can imagine that being a difficult time.
That's what I was coming up to then. I said I was rescued by Rachel Cowley. I don't know if you know her from Bristol College. She's been there for absolutely donkey's years. She does an access to art and design course. So you go.
I went to the one in Weston.
Okay.
Yeah.
And literally, she's seen my portfolio and she says, "Well, it's too masculine. It's too." She knew straight away that there was something there, but she's seen something in me, but not sure what it was yet. And to be fair, all my tutors have been wrong since. So
well, apart
from
the stuff you're doing now, though, is you prove them wrong in a way, because I love the one behind you that you're just in front of with all the colours and the different people and the lines.
I'm working on at the moment, this one.
Yeah.
That one's to do with LGBTQ plus mental health, about not being understood. So that's quite a good poem that came back out. That's called Kaleidoscope something or other. I've got it written down somewhere. It would be
because you're working with a lot of interesting poets from all different areas in the queer community, in various walks of life. But I'll let you talk more about that.
So so being in the pub trade, I've worked in all manner of different pubs all around all different kinds. Even stubbed my foot, ran my mouth where I shouldn't have been, and I've had to learn the hard way myself, where I've a lot of sorries I've had to say in the past, shall we say. So with mature, I was only a 20-year-old just out the army at that time. I was one single-minded.
Oh, I didn't know you were in the army.
Not for long. That's another story again. Not enjoyed at all. Not for the fact of what I witnessed. There was a lot of racism and fascism. So
I suppose a lot of that is very open but hidden at the same time. Do you find a lot of that stuff from the army and your past life comes into your artwork then, or?
Yeah. So this is it. This has been more. So I had all this building up anyway. So back to Key Party now. So that's a little bit more about my past. Check out the website. There's more detailed. But to bring it, so I've drawn on from my past, and I came up with a vision, which I didn't understand. Ever had one of these vivid dreams that's so vivid you have to wake up and go, "What the hell was that about?" It was that kind of 3 o'clock in the morning vision, and this is the image of the guy wrapped in chains, tied down, and another one trying to fly away. That was to do with backwards and forwards, and everything else is bleak around it. So there's nothing. So this is the vision that I had, and I went to Doug, and I said, because I know Doug writes poetry as well. By the time this airs, I think his show might be out. By the way, we've talked about the actual piece more so, and
I think I'm going to be talking to Doug in a few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah. So this particular piece came about because refrain, and I didn't give him a title or anything. He just looked at this vision that I had, this horrible, gnarly sketch that was trying to explain what I seen, and he wrote the poem, and it just seemed to gel. And I went, he's just seen me, but in poetry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's just wrote me in poetry and reflected what I'd done. So I wanted to see then where it goes. So I went onto the old Facebook, signed up to some poetry hubs, like groups and things like that, and just said, "Hey, I'm an artist. This is what I do. I'm looking for poets. Anybody got anything to do with mental health?" Because I wanted to make sure it was authentic as I can. And poets tend to wear their heart on their sleeves. When a poet writes, it's telling a part of their story or somebody else's story they're writing in a small format, which in turn helps my OCD, attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, because my friend does spoken word, and the stuff that they come up with is very rhythmic but powerful stuff when you really listen to the words and using a part of. I don't know how they do it. I mean, we put that into our artwork, but it's not so center stage, is it? Unless the show is
No.
well created, of course. But
there's obviously been lots of poets writing about our artworks in the past. There's been actual movements in the past, even British movements in the past of writing from poetry artworks, such as pre-Raphaelite era. Rossetti also wrote poetry as well as painted artworks, and it was all to do with that day. So putting things into true context. So, but my love for that era is because of transferring. You also not transferred from art to poetry, from poetry to art. So he played the whole movement there was playing around with it. So I've always been a Rossetti fan anyway. So when it comes to the mental health side, I'm telling somebody else's story, but that story's from poetry, and then that can relate to any language. So it doesn't matter what someone could relate to that, and so I've been in that situation. Or once they know the words, they can, and not just that, the piece actually they have to decipher. To stand there and try and read a painting is more challenging. And I myself, when I go to the shows, I love work that I could stand there and go, just trying to read it, and that's what I liked about the pre-Raphaelites, and that because once you understand the story, what they're writing about, you see another layer. It's full of different layers.
Yeah, whenever you hear what the artist is going for, it gives you another story. You can add your own, but also what the artist was intending. And I mean, what I like about the poetry collaboration you're doing is when you're reading it on YouTube or getting someone else to read it on YouTube, and you're showing all the close-ups and the poetry with the words, it really ties in and has that. You really captured the mood with both the video, the artwork, and the poetry. It all seems to work quite well in those videos. And of course, having the artwork in person as well is going to be a different experience altogether.
Yeah, I use video. I just like playing. I've always been a medium, hands-on, like whatever medium comes to hand. And to be honest, the videos come out because it's cold in my U studio, and I'm in the house making them half the time. And that looks cool. Let's just play it. And then now I'll get readers from all over, different accents, different languages. So you got that accent too as well to bring that message across. That it's so it gives that experience that you're not alone. And this stigmatizes this mental health issues.
That's what got me back painting again, was when I had my breakdown in 2017 now. And that's when I started to paint again, having had 4 years off. So mental health can really, art's good for therapy, and it's good for pushing paint around, getting that out of your head. And now it's different because I'm more painting like objects in the world, but art is very important in mental health, and so similar kind of story in that sense. But of course there will be differences because everyone's different. Art was very important in my journey as well.
I was for me it was the process. It's always been about the process, never about the final piece. But because I want to share that final piece, I'm easy to go, it doesn't belong to me anymore. I've done my journey. Now it needs to go to another journey. That's the beauty. Even bringing the poetry into it, I brought that poet in on my journey from their journey. We've collaborated together, stuck on this piece of paper, or they've they might have done a spoken word night with it, but people listen, but they don't truly understand. So when they work with an artist with that, which I'm thankful for, they've given me their inner thoughts effectively. But once I understand what the poem's about, and then sometimes I can look at one and go, I have one that's 4 pages long, and it took me about 4 months to actually decipher, come up with some sort of imagery, and then I'd have to read it about 4 or 5, every so often, and then I'll leave it, meditate on it for a bit, come back to it, look at it again, and go. And then suddenly I go, bing, and it would just be there. I go, that quick sketch, and then I literally my sketchbook is terrible,
as it should be.
it's just mind
Yeah,
maps really, and
whatever it needs to
then
be.
yeah. So they're just outlines and of ideas. Of then from there, I'll take a photo of that and then transfer it to my iPad. Then I'll start drawing out properly the ideas into proper formats, figures and things like that will start coming above then, and then from there it gets a layout would work. I work my layout because you can work with layers, delete things easier.
Yeah,
And then from there, I'll project that then onto the canvas. And I literally, it will still be outlines pretty much. And then I'll let the paint and my brain do everything else. So that's my process. So I don't really go full into eyes. I see some of these projected images, they go full on eyes and too much detail. You don't need that. You just need to get your proportions there, and everything else will come through.
yeah. Everyone has their own
Got
way
to
of
let
doing
that
things.
creative. That's how I feel. I don't like because some of these figures on here, there'll just be a dent for an eye, but I know there's an eye
Yeah,
around there somewhere. So I just get the proportions right, roughly,
yeah. Just know
and
where
then I'll just
things go, and
it'll
I mean, it depends what I'm trying to achieve. Sometimes I'll go full detail, and other times it is just very much just a circle, a square, just saying where things
yeah,
go for the composition and things.
yeah, yeah. It's composition or sizes as well,
Yeah,
but usually it will form itself. I like to have a go at these that high, that hyper realistic. Privately, I think I just feel like you use a little brush, just get the blend brush. That's fine. There's some, I like what they do,
mm.
but some that I've seen could be so much more.
I'm more into my brush strokes, and when I see hyperrealism, I like it when they've half done it. So they've
Yeah,
got the pencil mark, and then half of it's hyperrealistic, and the rest is a very rough sketch.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather they just left it at that stage, personally. It could look so good having the beginning stage and the really hyper realistic together.
For me, it lacks soul.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill exercise rather than, for me personally, I need to be loose, and I like the drips and the texture and
Yeah,
it's more motion and essence I'm painting, so I can kind of get what you're getting at. And I've seen some of your artwork in person, but they have changed a lot since I saw them. So you're painting more
they
figures than you were back then.
Well, I've been doing figures before the animals. The animals was just a pastime more than anything. It wasn't really. I just wanted to paint a tiger. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't really anything behind it or anything like that. Really, it was just. I know I'd done a few more animals as well, and I thought it'd just be fun to do. A sloth, because everyone thinks they're so cute, but yeah, they're so dull as well. So I've done a colourful one, and things like that. But I wouldn't do. Yeah, animals is not my bag, if you know what I mean. It's not. I'm not that passionate about it. I can do them. I do murals for people and things like that. I do them if I'm asked, but I'm not. It's not something I'd like to pursue for me anyway. But ever asked for a commission piece, I've got a commission coming up, and I'll probably introduce animals into it.
Mm.
But I don't want to. I think it's a flooded area. That's me
Yeah,
personally.
yeah. I mean, a lot of artists, when starting out, make a lot of their money through pet portrait commissions to start with. That's certainly not where I want to get type listed, but I do enjoy them on occasion, as long as it's
Yeah,
varied. I'm not constantly doing them, but
yeah.
I enjoy the odd one though. I do enjoy them, but yeah, like you, I don't want to just be
I
doing that.
prefer doing the work that comes from my third eye, my own imagination. I don't use any reference photos, anything like that.
Well,
It's lit
you don't use reference photos for these because
no.
you've got they've got something with the flow, and I would have thought you would have used a reference, but
If you draw enough, you don't need reference photos. I've been drawing since I was 4 years old, so
it's
I've
nice
always
when you
been.
can get it straight out of your head
Yeah,
and on
and
paper.
I've literally.
I use both.
This is where it's got to go on the sketchbook to. I got the idea right. That's the position, and I can roughly work out. Do you ever Have you ever been taught how to measure like your own thumb and your own fingers and things like that? So
Yeah.
you
Yes. Yeah.
so when it
Um,
comes to a sketch, I could say right with my own hands, you could actually measure like a foot or a leg, so that your foot would be the tip of your finger, for instance. Your full leg is a full finger. So you could actually, that's why I only work, maximum is A4, A5 sketchbooks. But because I'm not producing a finished piece, I'm only getting the dimensions roughly there.
Yeah.
But a thumb is a head. Just things like that. It's just so you can get that. So I don't use reference photos. I just literally, it's a circle. That's, I mean, it's, you break it down. Sausages is another one I use as well. The old sausages trick. Everything ends up like a string of sausages, and you build off that. These are old skills which have come back from my granddad drawing with me, But with figures, it was more of a case where of life drawing and things like that at uni.
Yeah,
I've done a lot like that.
Yeah, I absolutely love life drawing, and I pretty much do it every other week.
Yeah,
life drawing
it's
4 hours a week.
It's a good skill to get.
Yeah,
some people think they've got to come out with this amazing sketch in I said no, because they probably stood there for 4 hours while they were doing it. But it doesn't happen like that. It's just to get you flowing. Yeah, 20 minutes, and as long as you get the proportions roughly there, that's all you need. And that's all you're trying to train that muscle for.
Yeah, you just try and create like the weight of the body and capture an essence of it, and try and get proportions there, which will come through doing it.
Yeah,
it's very good practice.
Yeah,
sort of our bread and butter really for figure drawing, certainly.
Yeah. So that's where I don't use reference photos.
That's really interesting, because I tend to go the other way, where I use reference photos, but I use more than one. So I create like a digital collage or stitching them together to create what I want, and then I alter it that way. So I don't copy the reference photo exactly. It's just a guide to get, I change it as I go. But everyone has their method of working. So interesting hearing how you work.
It comes to me with when like painting a face or something. It comes to me the shape of that face will be. They don't represent anyone. They don't.
A lot of mine don't either. Even when I do for a reference.
I gave birth to it from the paint, so it's not.
Yes, I love that, because I feel like it just sort of comes as a channel, doesn't it? It sort of just comes to you, and you're just there to sort of guide it, I guess.
On that canvas, I'm God.
Well, we create worlds, so
exactly.
Yeah, you've got a show coming up, haven't you? Is that going to be the poetry?
Yeah, that's with 4 others. So we've got a mixed show, and it's poetry from art and art from poetry, and there's a couple of workshops I think in amongst that as well. That opening night's on the 20th of April, and it runs for about 2 months roughly. So I think it finishes around mid-June, I believe.
I mean, we've timed this, so this will come out way before that. So plenty of time to go see the show.
Yeah. So it's at the View Gallery, on Hotwells Road.
Okay, I'll put all the details in the description, and I'll have a little thing pop up.
And that's with 4 others. I'm not too sure who I'm. It hasn't come through to me yet who I'm with fully, but there is 4 others. So that'd be sculptors as well as artists. So I'm more interested in knowing who these guys are than anything, because I'm hoping I can join up with them at a later date as well. So I'm not. It's more interesting to see. That's what I'm looking to do, for having somewhere to test the waters. Then later on, I'll probably do some outside of Bristol, a couple of shows outside of Bristol. All one at the end of the year, everything together. I want to do thinking about doing a yearly show where all my artwork's together in one place on this series, because I've been restructuring my everything that's going on with Instagram and everything. Like, reason being, I've had enough of following this algorithm, and hopefully get some light.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm jumping off that bandwagon. I understand it's a window, it's a place that you can like show some work maybe, but I'm literally moving my full gallery onto my website, and then on Instagram it'll be like a little bit behind the scenes, things like that. It's nothing full on into, because why am I spending my time on an algorithm that's not my own? So that's what's annoying about it.
I mean, I'm changing the way I do social media, because otherwise you're just getting dragged along through waving at people to go to get dragged the other direction.
It's the way I look at it is that it's great for artists. Don't get me wrong. It is,
No,
for the
it's
ones that
great to have.
in its early days, fantastic for them, and I'm all for that. But for me, one, the Reels content doesn't give me enough time for what I would like to bring across. So hence why I've also moved to YouTube for certain contents where the videos are going to run longer than 10 minutes, for instance.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to the poets, to know what they're about and where their works come from and everything, I'm not going to squeeze that in a reel. So
no, not at all.
And
you can have like a little highlight, but then you have to play the whole clips and highlight game. And
advertising platform. It's not a connection platform anymore. It's an advertising
whereas
platform.
There's a great community on YouTube, and I think the culture of social media is what makes it not such a great place. And as long as you ignore that and don't follow what the like putting stuff on every week, choosing it's going to choose one of them and choose which one works for us and which one works for our content.
Yeah.
So is there anything else happening at the show that people might not want to know about, or in terms of, you mentioned workshops and I guess it'd be like an opening show as well, wouldn't there?
Yeah. On the opening night, we're hoping to have some poetry readers there. That's all I know of at the moment. Is all waiting to hear everything from the gallerists, which, funny enough, when I finished uni, that gallery just opened, literally within I think it was a year or under 6 months anyway, before me finishing uni. And I remember going past going, what's, in the car, I went, what's that? I said, that a new gallery? I went, oh, another one along here. And I seen the artwork. I can't remember the artwork now, but I seen the artwork in the window. I went, I'm going to be exhibiting there one day. And, it's like, straight away, you knew that work was your bag. That artwork that was in there was your bag.
Yeah, I've had that experience.
The style of work that was in there was like, oh, that's my square peg for me. Do you know what I mean? It was, it's right. One thing I do stress, when it's like getting your work out there, do your research before you waste any more time trying to get your work out. Do your research in the areas that you're thinking of putting your work out there. Because if your work doesn't fit it, you're not gonna meet your people. So I've been to like arts markets, and as I said, oh yeah, it's a really good market. Come along, put your artwork there. And I've looked there, and I went, you got no footfall. That's no good for me. There's nobody here. So you paid your £30 or whatever it is for your pitch. Spend all that time setting up, and there's nobody there. So before spending that money, go the one before and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's also good to check what's happening on that weekend, because I made the mistake of going to the summer flea market and not realizing that the Harbour Festival was on. So and the organisers won't tell you.
No, that's it. And before same with galleries. I've been offered galleries in London, for instance, and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And then I find out that it's £600 up front for a 3 metre by 3 metre wall, which is like tiny. I've got no audience yet, so that's their audience, mine, that you're paying for, which is fine. They put the bar on. I was thinking, yeah. But then I've got myself travelling there and back, stay the nights. So I've got to sell 2 paintings before at
least. Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense to do that.
Yeah, not that much of a risk.
It just doesn't make sense to do that. No. I'd rather spend that money and enter every competition that's going, every one of them. Yeah. If you lose, you've lost it. You know where you're at. But you can enter them online. You haven't posted any you haven't paid any postage or anything. Just enter all of them. It's a wildlife. Obviously, you've got to set a budget. You've got to set a budget every year. But I just enter them all, and if I get in one, happy days. If I don't, I don't. You know what I mean? It's just it's still an audience that you're showing yourself to. People say, oh, no point entering competitions. There's two falsehoods I heard in the past. Don't do competitions, don't do galleries. So where are you going to get your audience? Or get it online? What, in a flooded market?
Figure out what you want to do and pick and choose what works for you, because you do get a feel for the place, and you get a feel for the competition.
Yeah, but galleries to me are your gateway to your people. A gallery's not going to show your work if they can't sell it. What's the point? If they don't think they can sell that, if they haven't got the people that you think, yeah, I could sell that work, why are they going to take it on? They're not going to make any money out of it, so why would they bother taking it on? They know where they can sell it to.
Yeah, I suppose there's different galleries as
you
well.
can do it yourself. That's why I say, when it comes to galleries, do your homework on the galleries. If it's a 50-50 split, snap their hand off, because they're worth their weight in gold. Yeah, there is other ones they do as well, but a 50-50 split, if you only sell one piece, it's okay. But look at all the contacts you've got, all the people that you're trying to reach out to. You've got a window where you can invite people to. You've got a reputation of that gallery where you can invite other people to further your career.
Yeah, this kind of goes on to the question I always ask my guests around putting your work out there for those who are new or those who are getting disillusioned. Is there any advice you would give? So would you expand on that answer you've given? Is there more like advice for people who are putting their work out there, being brave? And
I personally think, and I mean, this getting your work out there. I mean, time is your main money. Yeah, time, it's not about the money side of it. Time is your main asset. Don't look at the money side of it. That will come in time. I would look at just getting more and more people to your audience, and the best way to do that is speak to the research your galleries. And if there isn't a gallery that does your bag, do your own. Yeah, but do it as 3 or 4 of you together that could do it. Well, there's always pop-ups. Gallery, for instance, I would say would probably be the best bet. If there's a team of you doing it, you've got to get a lot more work done than just you on your own. But with a gallery, you're 2 steps ahead. They only accept academia as rubbish. If your work speaks to people, and if your work fits that gallery, the gallery's got that space, they'll give it to you. You know what I mean? They're more than likely to sell that work. But if it's then again, if it's a delicate balance, if they got too much of that, they're going to turn around and say, I got too much of that.
Yeah, I think it's finding a gallery that, like you say, has your kind of style, has your kind of vibe, and just reaching out to them. And it's not necessarily the mega galleries that we think of. The gallery I just came out of was a cooperative gallery run by artists, so that's a bit more of a community business rather than.
Well, that's where I would say, best place for anyone to start is that community galleries are really good to go to as well, because it's still a wall. It's still somebody to get it up. Coffee shops, bars, even hold an artist event at a bar, because you're bringing in custom. Anywhere you could bring in custom, they're happy to put your work up. It's got to be a mutual agreement. And same with galleries. Don't email them going, little tip here. Don't email them going, oh, I really like your work. Can I hang some of my work in there? Because they're just going to look at you and go, who the hell is this? Rather than go direct in like that, I ask them to, if you've got 5 minutes of their time in their busy schedule, if they can look at some of my work and give me some feedback, because I'm looking for somewhere to hang. Yeah. If not your gallery, would you recommend someone for me? Yeah. So it's about that wording. You're befriending them. Don't go in there and go, oh, really like your work. Can I hang up in it? Because they're just going to go, what the hell? You're wading in on, you're asking them to be a part of their business. And that's what it is. It's their livelihood. They're entrusting to put up. So that's what I'm thankful for, because they've given me the time of day to do this, where I would have exhibited anyway. You know what I mean? Of course I would have. But it's when you get the letter back, you think, I was 2 steps forward. Yes. I might take a step back afterwards, but it's 2 steps forward. It's still forward in your journey. The other one is looking to rundown shop, like the empty shops and things like that. If you can get a hold of an owner, I don't know what it would be in the rest of the world, but in the UK, obviously we know they're owned by associations, aren't they? A lot of the shops and that in the main centre and things. But you could always get a hold of them and say, like, look, looking for a pop-up. Just get hold of an agent and say, look up the pop-ups. Could you let me know if there's any pop-ups going? This is my budget. Now, if there is anything in that, they come forward. At the moment, for us, I'm looking into shops that would work all the time. And I'm always looking at a year's rent all the time. Because I always think, okay, that's £15,000 for the year. How many artists can I get in there? And you could probably work it out between you that if you could fill that for a year at £200 a week, that's the rent paid for. But everyone's got exhibition space for that whole year.
I mean, if you can get enough people in there, so it's £200 a month, even better. But
yeah, exactly. So it depends on the size of the building, and I know you can work out. in there, how many levels it is, how much work you probably need to do.
But then again, a lot of these venues I've been looking at do charge between 180 and £350 for the week to to have that space to be able to put work up. Yeah, a lot of the venues I've been looking at for a possible solo show at some point. So
but then it's
that kind of ballpark.
location.
Yeah, location is so important.
But with doing it yourself that way, you get a better, because I find some of them where we are, I've looked into the prices of excellent space, but blinking you'd miss it. And I mean, you'd walk straight past that. I've seen one on Clifton Triangle, for instance, by us, and that's 3 flights, and they wanted 25 a year, and it was 2 rooms at the bottom that you could have had 2 gallery spaces at the bottom, studio space at the cellar, which is quite big. So 2 artists running that for a year, easy.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Yeah, as artists, we take these risks, like business-wise, and I'm not in a position to do that. I have to just keep it on these sort of very, low costs. But for those who've got the audience already and have the I don't know, saved up from other shows, it's definitely an interesting thing to sort of bend your mind around and sort of think other ways around it. But
the other one is a lot of the this is the UK market, by the way. The other one is because I used to work at the pubs, I know they won't ask for that 25 grand up front, mind. You don't have to pay that straight away. You can go in there. I think it's usually a minimum of 3 months you have to put down as like with deposit. And if it didn't work in them 3 months and you didn't sell anything and you didn't make any money and nobody wanted anything, you've only lost that 3 months worth. So what's that? £3,000 roughly, 15,000. Yeah, I mean, it's not in a scheme of things. It sounds a lot, but there's 3 of you going in or 4 of you going in.
Yeah,
onto that.
It's still quite a lot to lose, isn't it? If
Yeah, it is a gamble, but then that's why you're paying for the location, and you've got to have the right team with you.
Yeah, but I suppose the gamble I did was with the cooperative gallery, but it wasn't as much. It was like that was £45 a month for one bit of wall, and then on the last month I paid 80 for double wall. So, and sold a few.
When I say arts festival, it would have to be local, upcoming, showing their talents, even from the Bristol rap scene. For that side, and yes, it's going to take a lot of organising, and yes, you would need a people together. But there's a vision, and hopefully, in time, I meet the people that I need to bring the vision alive. But that's this 5-year plan that I would like to bring forward.
Well, it's good to have these dreams. But I mean, I would like to, I'd love to have like a flat above a gallery and then have the gallery open. But again, money.
When he says to you about the gallery stroke studio space, I would love to. The dream studio is just like. Do you remember the old film Ghost and that massive, great big?
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
That'd make it
perfect. Yeah, it's also Shape of Water. I don't know if you've seen that film where he's an artist with the massive windows and beautiful film.
Yeah.
But it's like I'd love to have that loft space and
high enough ceilings. I'd love high enough ceilings.
Oh, I can literally I can touch mine.
I might.
Yeah, it's not difficult.
Yeah. Well, my mess space is 6 foot by 8 foot if it was empty.
Well,
I've got literally that's it.
No, I had to turn my living room into a studio because I just couldn't afford the other one anymore. But actually, it works out okay. I just got paint on my carpet everywhere now. That's the problem.
Yeah, so the show's going on. That would be pretty cool. And the other workshop where one of us will be talking about art going into from poetry, from literature. Then it's always illustrate. They're not. This is it. They're not illustrations. They are actual paintings, rather than. And I say that with my sleeve. I think some of them could be a little bit illustrative. They sit on that fine line, and then some completely abstract, like this one here that I'm working on is completely abstract, but what's finished, it was another vision of mine, and then we've done it like how and then I go to the poet that I've been working for a while, and they put a poem with it, and then that's before even seeing the artwork, and then they come. So there's 2 ways we work, but I'm just loving the journey of just meeting people all the time. That's it's like being a publican, but with my passion. It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about community. But no, it's been absolutely wonderful hearing about your process, Tim. And we're just coming up to the hour. We've covered so much. But was there anything like one little tidbit you wanted to give about marrying words and art together before we go? Or
to marry words and art together, just don't be asked if you want to do the following, the work like I do, because I'm not one of these. Oh, this is my not precious at all. Don't be afraid to just speak. I mean, the more communication you do, more chance of you. If you're not asking the questions, you're not getting the answers. It's a no. You asked the wrong question.
Yes,
it's not. It's only a no for now. I don't ever take no as an answer, because my next question would be why. Could you
expand on that?
Add more to that. Expand on that, so I know next time, because I really want to be in this gallery, or I want to really show my work here, or what I need to do to show my work with you.
That's often how I phrase it. Like, what do I have to do to be here?
Yeah,
and, they give me a whole spiel. Then.
Yeah. And that's the information you're after. It's not. Don't ask. There's a no, within you walk away all disappointed. Even when it comes down to poets, just explain what I just explain what I'm trying to do. As soon as I say mental health, and they know they're in with it. For instance, I'm a white middle-aged man, for instance, that I've been researching and getting information about the Black community suffering through the Windrush era, and their the racism that they achieved where they came over, the promised land, coming over and then getting racially abused. What their mental health must have been like is immense. So stories like that they're sharing with me, and I'm honored for that. You see what I mean? So it's education.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can explain. It's all the education, the LGBTQ. Plus, I'm still working. I've got family, and I've got everyone's got that kind of thing. What I'm more interested in is what's that mental state of mind must have been before they were able to be themselves. You see what I mean? That's the bit that I'm trying to extract from them. And some people bottle that, and they come like, they're all loud about it, which is great, because they're loud about it. But what it must have been like before, before they were out and proud and loud and everything, it must have been absolute torture. And that's where the empathy comes in. You only learn by talking to them. And the way you talk, to extract that is to find a mutual ground, which is the arts.
It's such an interesting process, how you bring other people into your artwork. And I will, it's been absolutely amazing conversation, Tim. So I'm really looking forward to, I'll come along to the show. I'll get to see what find out what it's all about more, because art can really speak.
Come back inspired, hopefully. That's what I can say. Anyone that's going to go there, they're either going to be inspired to create from literature, within, I would say inspired to collaborate, because we're all on the same journey. We're all on the same planet. We're all on the same wave. We're all, as artists, we've all got some mental health. 90% of us has picked up art really because of our mental health. Let's just talk about it.
Yes.
I think it's, that's, to talk about it. If it saves one person out of their depression, or saves them from, brings them back out, going, I'm not going to say everything's going to be all right, pull your socks up, because that's wrong. All you can say is, I understand. Yeah. And that's what it's needed sometimes. And this is what this show's about for me. This series is about for me.
Brilliant. And maybe if we do a follow-up to this podcast, I can come and actually be with you in your little studio in person, do a little video, and then we won't have any internet problems then. But it's been we're only probably a couple of miles away.
Have a whole room by then. I think the best place to do that is probably at this the full solo show. Really, than in person maybe. There's only enough. It was bad enough I got one of my children in here working with me, but
I'll be outside. Yeah, but we'll keep in touch. So this has been absolutely brilliant, and for those listening, thank you, and keep on scribbling, keep keep drawing, keep doing all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. So yeah, thanks again, Tim. This has been amazing, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.